Okay guys, this is a short video about why we're reading the Odyssey to give us some perspective. So let's start with that question. Why do we read Homer's The Odyssey? So we want to first and foremost read it because it answers some essential questions. Each unit should have essential questions to guide it. Our essential questions are questions that are designed to help students find the most important ideas within a text or a topic to develop a more meaningful understanding of the purpose or reason for reading. I know that a lot of times freshmen especially think you're supposed to be entertained, and hopefully you will be entertained, but as I've been saying since the beginning of the year, we're reading for other purposes besides just being entertained. We're reading complex texts, different types of genres. In this particular case, it's an epic poem in order to build your skills, your reading, thinking, and writing skills. So essential questions are designed to open doors. So that's why I put this little image here. We want to open the doors to different ideas, multiple meanings, and understanding certain literary tools and devices that are found particularly in epic poetry. So essential questions should answer, I should say, what are you learning? Why are you learning it? And how will you use it? So hopefully by the end of our unit, you'll see some connection with your life. So for example, what are you learning? You're learning the plot, you're learning about the style and form of the epic poem. You're learning about the themes and archetypes, and we're going to get into all of the what that you'll be learning as we go through. Why are you learning it? Because we believe it will help you to build your skills, again, reading, thinking, writing skills, and hopefully you will use those thinking skills, breaking down a text into smaller and more insightful components where there are multiple interpretations. There should be student friendly. They should lead themselves to debate. You get at the heart of what the content is, and they're going to help you hopefully to make your learning your own. So what is our first essential question for the Odyssey? Well, how is identity created and subject to change? That's our first essential question. How do we figure out who we are? Who am I? We started with that question right at the beginning of the year, and I had you think about the different roles that you take on in your life. And the characters in the Odyssey are doing the same process, going through the same process. And the other thing to go along with that is who helps a person develop who they are, who he or she is, I should say. So we're going to focus first on Telemachus and his coming of age and relationship to his identity. So he starts out as a little boy, and by the time we end the Odyssey, he's more man-like. He's not a full-grown middle-aged man, but he's in his 20s by the time the story ends. So Telemachus is going to have to take on some new roles to become independent and mature. Will he be able to figure out who he is independently of his father's legend and fame? So it's one thing to know that your father's a war hero, but if you've never met him and you've never interacted with him, it can be hard to get out of the shadow of that, especially when you haven't had all of the knowledge that he might have given to you if you had developed a relationship. Remember, Telemachus has never met his father. The day he was born, his father had to leave. And part of this coming of age process, we have to ask ourselves, what will Telemachus learn about himself on his coming of age journey, on his journey to manhood, leaving childhood behind? And who will be his mentors? Who's going to help him on this journey to come of age, be more mature, and figure out who he is apart from his father, apart from his mother? In this process of coming of age, Telemachus is going to have to do reflection. You're going to have to take on that role of, okay, if I were Telemachus in this role, what would I be thinking? What would I believe about myself as Telemachus now that I've accomplished this particular task? What would I feel if I were Telemachus in this role? Because sometimes Homer doesn't tell you that, but as good readers, we're going to be inferring how he feels and what he believes about himself, the same way you did that at the beginning of the year about yourself. How will people look at Telemachus differently, excuse me, once he grows up, once he becomes more mature? How are people going to see him now in this new light? So the second essential question has to do with how a person's identity is created, not based on personal relationships, but the time period that they live in. So how do place and background affect one's identity? If you think about, where a story is set, it's important to think about what the values, customs, beliefs are, and how the language and, right from wrong kind of dictates a person's identity. Okay. What constitutes or defines a journey is our third essential question. What does it mean to go on a journey? We've known for a long time that there are pieces of literature across time, so no matter what decade or century you're in, or no matter if what country or culture you're in, there are stories that talk about human beings going on a journey, and this journey is a personal journey. And during this journey, they're supposed to figure out who they are as an individual, who he or she is as an individual, and what is his place in the world. This is called an archetype, and one of the reasons why we read the Odyssey is because we want to explore this archetype, this pattern that is found in literature across time, across cultures, where there are these characters that face conflicts, similar types of conflicts, and similar types of characters. And we're going to look at this graphic quite a bit as we go through and read the Odyssey, because there's a definite pattern that the archetype follows. And so what you need to know is that the hero's archetype is really an exaggerated and supernatural story of a man's journey to find out his or her identity. And when I say man, I mean humankind, not just man. It could be man or a woman. Figure out who he or she is in the world. So here's another little video that might explain it in a little bit more of a creative way for you.
What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient Greece? Cliff told you they are all variants of the same hero. Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the mono myth or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends with heroes' ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book. There's a final destination. Status quo. That's where we start. 1 o'clock. Call to adventure. A hero receives a mysterious message from an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock. Assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock. Departure. The hero crosses the threshold. His normal safe home enters the special world of an adventure. He has to say more. 4 o'clock. Trials. Being a hero is hard work. A hero solves a problem, slays monsters, escapes from the fire. 5 o'clock. It's time to face the biggest hero's worst fear. Crisis. The hero's dark hour. He faces death, possibly even dies, only to be born. 7 o'clock. Treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, and power. 8 o'clock. Result. the tangled plot line can straighten out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to the new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely, but let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero journey. What does Katniss Everdeen feel called to adventure gives the story? What are sisters being called from the labyrinth? How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Haymitch. What about departure? Did she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo? Well, you're human, just like them. The hero's journey myth exists in all human cultures and keeps getting updated because we humans reflect on our world through symbolic stories of our own lives. You leave your comfort zone, have an experience that transforms you, and then you recover and do it again. You don't literally slay dragons or fight Voldemort, but you face problems just as scary. Just as Campbell said, in the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek. What is the symbolic cave you fear to enter? Auditions for the school play, baseball tryouts, love. Much for this formula in books, movies, and TV shows for kids. You will certainly see it again, but also be sensitive to it in your own life. Listen for your call to adventure. Accept the challenge. Conquer your fear and claim the treasure you seek. And then do it all over again.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching.